Texas Congressman Michael Burgess is also a doctor and joins us live. Good morning, Congressman.
Hey, good morning, Carl. Thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. Unfortunately, it's such a crap topic. 1 year later, we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, allegedly, with these vaccines and stuff like that. Joe Biden recently said, hey, if you get the vaccine, I might let you celebrate 4th of July. Yeah, okay. What's your take on this whole 1 year process, and was it done right? What did we learn from it?
Oh, look, I will tell you, a lot of people have been humbled by what they thought about this illness and how it transpired. Yeah, I can lay claim to being one of the early ones to try to sound the alarm the third week in January. But you know what? The president responded, and by the end of January, he had already declared the travel ban from China. The president also responded and said, let's not take 5 years to develop a vaccine. Let's see if we can get it done really fast, like at warp speed, and actually put the building blocks in place. And it's so disingenuous for now President Biden to be saying, well, the cupboard was bare when I got there. Well, who gave you what shot, sir, in December? Where did that come from? Was it manufactured out of thin air? So, look, the president the other night, he should have had some grace to say, thank you, Donald Trump, for having the vision to get us through this. It was a gamble. There was no guarantee that any of the vaccines were going to work, let alone 3 or 4 of them. And the president also took a gamble. Secretary Azar took a gamble on guaranteeing the purchase of millions of doses of vaccine before any data was known, before it had gone to the FDA. I do think the FDA took way too long to get through their normal bureaucratic processes, but that's a subject for a different day. I think we could have had this in October, but no one wanted it, or at least some people didn't want it before Election Day. So, okay, there's that. But look, lockdowns, we've learned, don't really work. You may need a judiciously applied restriction of activity just temporarily while a place is a hotspot, but the lockdown bullet was fired too soon. And as a consequence, then when maybe you really needed to slow some things down, when the surges happened in September and January, it wasn't there. You couldn't use it. And in my part of the world, so much resentment over what has already occurred. You pointed out, and I've made this point a ton of times, if you want a stimulus, let the engine of the economy start spinning again, because it was doing great in February of 2020. We had an economy that really was the envy of the entire world. Let that rascal go again, and then you'll see what a stimulus looks like.
Right. I mean, but that's the issue that your liberal counterparts just can't understand. They had this $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan. I just ran through some of the problems I had with it, but talk about why you didn't vote for it.
Well, the big headline is less than $1 out of every 10 was spent on actual coronavirus stuff. So we in the Doctors Caucus have put together 9 different amendments that we offered to try to make it better. I did that in the Rules Committee, went through a long, somewhat laborious dissertation on each one, but it was important. Look, we got an FDA that says it can't take into account real world evidence. Well, now we've got 3, soon to be 4 vaccines.
I'm sorry, Congressman, say that again. Say that one more time for the viewers.
Well, under an emergency use authorization, the FDA feels like it cannot take into account evidence that could be garnered from all of the people who've already received the vaccine. What are their antibody levels? What is their hospitalization rate? What is the rate at which they are dying? But the FDA can't look at that because they said we can only evaluate the data that is brought to us by the company that was involved in the development. Well, that's nuts. And any common sense person would say, well, now you've got all of these fancy computers and all of this data coming in. Let's look at it. And if we need to make some adjustments, then we can do so. But right now, the FDA says we don't have the statutory authority to do that. I've argued with them about that. I tried to provide it in the coronavirus relief bill, which seemed like a good place to put it. But the Democrats said no go. And it didn't cost anything. Wouldn't have cost a dime more than what they were already spending.
Congressman, I'm just like, when you said that, I just literally sank in my chair, that they can't input real world data. The government is so inefficient sometimes. All right, so you represent a border state. You know, you've been very vocal about the need to provide COVID testing and PPE at the border. I find it the irony of Joe Biden, shutting down America and keeping us locked in our homes, but he wants to open the border wide open. Why is this such a pressing need?
Why is it a pressing need to open the border or to get?
To get PPE down to the border and things like that.
Oh, I was just down in the Del Rio sector yesterday with my senator, Senator Cornyn. I've been down to the border multiple times. My committee has the jurisdiction over the Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is the outfits that take care of the unaccompanied minors after they come over here. Look, the surge of you're up over 100,000 for the month of February of people coming in. The unaccompanied children numbers are through the roof. It's only going to get worse. We know this. I mean, it sort of happens every year. It's going to be much worse in May than it was in February. So we also know there is a positivity rate that's coming across the border. Mm-hmm. And you've got communities out, not just in Texas, but really all over the country, communities where kids are going to be placed with a family, with one of their family members or with a foster family, and they're going to start school in those places. Look, it's a real problem if you don't know what you're sending out and what people are receiving. It is a real problem. So I offered what's called a motion to instruct in the Budget Committee. People might wonder, what the heck am I doing on both the Rules and the Budget Committee? It is it is emotionally taxing sometimes, but a motion to instruct to say that we ought to be testing at the border. We ought to be providing at least one round of personal protective equipment for people we are letting go, family units that we are letting go. The catch and release program now that the Biden administration has put on steroids, we at least ought to provide a little bit of protection for our citizens on the other side. Look, here's the saddest thing about what's going on the border right now. Operational control of the border in less than 60 days has gone from Customs and Border Protection to the cartels. So the cartels are the ones who are managing who gets across. It's a dollar-based system, and they are. It is a. I mean, it's tragic, and the men and women of the Customs and Border Protection who are sworn to be our first line of defense, it's emotionally draining on them as well.
I mean, it really is. I mean, and also the idea and the notion of supplying PPE to people who just broke the law by coming across the border. I think that they're just going to take that mask right off and walk. But they have Joe Biden shirts. They have those. They have thousands of Joe Biden shirts. Congressman Michael Burgess, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.